faithful to bring this to accomplishment. You had intentions we didn't even know about. As of last week, we didn't know we were going to be here together this week. But you chose it and you put it together, you orchestrated it, because in this room you have a purpose with someone. It's not about the crowd, it's about what you want to do. And I want to thank you that you have enabled us to walk through. As we come to the end of the week, let the end of a thing become better than the beginning thereof. Do something supernatural. Open doors, mighty God. Heal the sick, deliver the bound, break the yoke. Be thou exalted in a mighty way. I am one of them. I am one of them. Somebody say, I am one of them. If you say, I am one of them. Now shout your name again. No, I can't hear. Shout your name again. And say, I am one of them. Do you believe that? All right, put your hands together. Give the Lord a hand. Thank you. Thank you. It's going to be a very quick afternoon because I need to kind of minister to some of you. Probably lay hands if I can, but I'm so grateful to God. Those that are coming to sit here, come and do that. If you're coming to sit here, come and sit here. Only if you have a passport. After this, we are leaving. Hallelujah. Please have your seat. Let's try to run through this today. Have your seat. I am surprised. I'm a bit surprised when I walk through that door that I see some of my CDs still there. I'm not sure if you know what is in there. If you knew, you would not leave them. Make sure you have. It's the last moment you have to grab them. Make sure you have them. There were only 120, I think, and 4 different messages. So it's like 40 a piece, 30 I think. You should be able to get all of them and they will bless you. Reverend Susan, it's an honor to be here and thank you, appreciate you. And the bishop in absence. What we are saying here is that when you got saved, the salvation did not just come so that you can have a license to get to heaven. Salvation came and there are things that accompanied salvation, the book of Hebrews, so that if we begin to teach you and your eyes begin to open, you understand that salvation carries healing, salvation carries deliverance, salvation takes the enemy away from you, death is separated from you, sickness is destroyed, and above all things, poverty is nullified. Now, when you talk about poverty, there are continents in the world where poverty is not so relevant. There is not much poverty in Europe. The US as well doesn't have a lot of poverty. But when you start going to some parts of Asia and the entire continent of Africa, then poverty becomes a reality. And we have to preach this gospel until that aspect is broken. If anybody told you that to prosper is a problem, they don't have the full counsel of God's word. They don't have sound doctrine. I have a problem. I'm a preacher of kingdom wealth. I'm a teacher of kingdom, but I have a problem with the prosperity gospel that came to us in the 80s. I think in late 70s into 80s, which told us that we just have to have money. Have money. Then by having money, you are prospering. It was a good word, but it was not complete. There was no teaching in there. Now, the teaching says to us that after you have received, let me try to go to the word, 3 John Remember, we have already agreed that you have to remember the Lord your God, and it is He that gives you power to get wealth. So He has to stay in your mind. He has to stay in your head. There should never ever be any time in your whole life where God is not the central point. There should never be any level of blessing in your life that takes you away from God. God has to always be there. He is the Alpha and the Omega of your life. God is the author and the finisher of your faith. God is the first and the last. Before you had your mama, you had God. Before you had your daddy, you had God. Before you had your job, you had God. Before you had a car, you had God. God brought everything that you have. He is the source of what you have. Never ever let what God has given you take his place in your life. Never let a wife take his place. Never let a husband take his place. Never let a job take his place. Never let a car. Let there be nothing that God has given to you begin to share the same place that he has in your heart, because God is the source. He remains to be bigger than everything else. Heaven and earth will pass away, but God remains to be gone. And if you ask Job, Job is going to tell you that everything can be wiped away, but if you have God, you'll have it back again. If you lose anything, don't lose God. If you lose anyone, do not lose God. Because as long as you have God, you have everything you will ever require. And so here in Eldoret in Kenya, allow me to say to you that God wants to give you wealth. And he's giving you that wealth by giving you power. That power is coerced, is the divine supernatural enablement of God. Let me tell you the truth. An ordinary person that went to school just in the village and went to a simple college to become a multi-millionaire has to be by the supernatural hand of God. Are we together? You and me, ordinary people like us. If we're going to buy a plane, it has to be by the hand of God. And I'm about to surprise you. God is about to bless you with a car that every moment you get into that car, you break down in worship. You know why? Because you know that by your own ability you could have not had this kind of a car. God is about to give you a house that every time you get back home, you have no arrogance. You are so broken down because you know that with your salary and your family background and everything you are, you could have not afforded a 7-bedroom house in a very high-end estate. You know it is the hand of God. He wants to bless you until the blessing becomes your humility. You are not arrogant. People that know God very well are never arrogant by the blessing of God. When you lift your head and put over your shoulder and look back to where you're coming from, you know it was not by the hand of a man, not by your own power, but by the finger of God that you are where you are. He's about to carry you on his back like an eagle and begin to fly up with you until your own family members will know that this is the Lord. When the prophets of Baal tried to contend with Elijah let them do all their shenanigans the whole day, and when the evening hour was come, the hour of sacrifice, Elijah stepped out and he said, let it be known today, you cannot waver between two opinions. If God is God, you follow him. If Baal is Baal, you follow him. And he called fire from heaven, and before he called the fire, he said, can you pour water on the sacrifice? I want to show you how this God works. Pour water on the sacrifice until the whole was covered in water and swimming. Then he called the fire from heaven, and fire came and began to lick the water and lick the wood and the stones and the sacrifice. At the end of the day, every prophet of Baal bowed down and said, the Lord, he is God. The Lord, he is God. When God is done with you, everybody around you will bow down and say, we know her. We know she's just a primary school teacher, but she's driving a Range Rover. We know her. We know where she went to primary school. We know where she went to high school, but she owns 5 houses in Eldoret. We know him. We know he has no education, but he's flying his own plane. The blessing that is coming on you will not leave people confused. They will know this is the finger of God and you cannot compete with it. Somebody say yes. He will bless you before people that know you very well. And they'll say, we know this one. It can only be God. Not your uncle, not your mother, not your brother. It can only be God. I prayed this morning, very early hours. And I say, Lord, when we finish with this teaching this afternoon, begin to unlock queens of Sheba, prophetic queens of Sheba from everywhere. Let them come from the north, from the south, from the east, from the west. Let them carry gold and diamonds and precious stones and money. Someone is about to place a blessing in your life that will redefine your entire destiny. You are dealing with a God that has a cattle on 1,000 hills that belong to him. Silver and gold belongs to God. He is the creator of everything. Money belongs to him. Let me tell you something today. The money you need to begin to affect your environment and your family members is not hanging on a tree somewhere. It is in the hands of somebody somewhere. He's about to cause the money to move and come your way. It's coming from the Middle East. It's coming from the north, from Egypt, from Nairobi. Everywhere is going to locate you. If God could cause a wind to blow and bring the quails into the camp, if God could cause the water to bring the rock to bring out water and 3 million people drink from him, if God could cause the sun to stand still, he is able to cause the money to begin to move into your hand. It's coming into your life. Somebody say, I am one of them. Well, okay, let's go to this time, lunch hour. Lunch hour. 3rd John, the third letter of John, and verse number 2. Beloved, I wish above all things, John writing his letter, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper. Thou mayest prosper. The word prosper there is a root word which means do well completely in every area. He says, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. Even as thy soul, let's try to break this. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou, the word thou should be underlined, you is you, that you may prosper and be in health. The word health should be underlined, even as your soul prospereth. The word soul should be underlined. Now let me give you the procedure here and the process here. I want you to prosper. That's John. I want you to prosper. I want you to prosper, but not just prosper, but be in health, even as your soul prospers. So you are only going to prosper even as your soul. Let's do English now. Even as your soul prospereth. Even as your soul is prospering, you are going to prosper. So prosperity is guaranteed, but even as your soul. The prosperity of your soul determines the prosperity of your holistic self. So your wholeness of prosperity is even as. Even as. That's why we cannot be dumb. That's why we cannot be ignorant. Even as. Even as. That's why we have to be educated. That's why we have to teach the people the Bible. Even as your soul prospers. The problem and the limiter of prosperity is in the soul. As a man thinketh, so he is. As a man thinketh. Several years ago, I was in Tokyo, Japan, and I met 3 youngest billionaires in American dollars. 27 years old and 25. 27, 25, 25. The youngest billionaires in Japan at that particular time. Billionaires in dollars. 27 years old, 25 and 25. And when I saw them, I was so moved. Only one of them understood a bit of English. The others had to be interpreted to. And so we had someone interpreting, and I began to ask them questions. Which church do you go to? They said, what's that? They had no idea what I was talking about. What's that? I said, what's your faith? Who do you pray to? They said, we don't pray. We don't have a faith. We don't know nothing about a faith or a God. Therefore, there are certain principles of wealth that is not necessarily from the Bible. You don't have to be born again to be. And I say, if you don't pray in tongues like I do, and those years, I was trying to pray in tongues 4 hours a day. Kalama bababo na 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 na. I was like a generator. Then I meet people that are billionaires. And I say, how much do you do? They say, no. We don't know what you're talking about. Then I say, tell me about your lifestyle. What do you do throughout the day for you to be 25 and be a billionaire? They are innovators. These boys are they come up with innovations. Then they sell them at millions, and then they also get paid royalties as the rest of their lives. Whenever it's sold, they get a percentage because they innovated them. I said, then tell me about your life. What do you do with your life? The whole day. They said, we wake up at 2:30 and from 3 we think. Somebody say think. One more time, say think. And we think until 10 a.m. Thinking. No jogo. Thinking. These were the first boys to tell me that the brain is actually a muscle. I didn't know. And every muscle of the body, if you work it, it tones up and becomes strong. Apparently, the most miraculous aspect of humanity is the brain cells. If they can get toned, they will come up with things. All these airplanes flying and electricity came from those cells. Thinking. But Africa is backward because we don't think. We don't think. We don't lock the door and just think. No prayer, no reading, just think. How do you make more money? How do you become better? Just sit there and begin to think. And as you think, God drops ideas. You write them down. You think. You write them down. And as you are writing them down, you then get scriptures that confirm what you're receiving. Every good, James says, every good and perfect gift comes from above, from the Father of lights. Those lights are revelations. Those lights are illumination. And those lights are inspiration. So every good thing comes from above, from the Father of lights. While the African children are doing arts and craft for practicals, the Chinese kids are assembling the radio and watches and disassembling them. While we're doing clay work, we're creating a cow with the clay. They are dismantling. A 10, 12-year-old boy is dismantling the whole radio and putting it back. Lights. Somebody say lights. One more time, lights. Let me tell you, the more lights you get, the more. And sometimes when you give, God may not give you back hard cash. God may give you a business idea. And that business idea becomes your liberation the rest of your life. We have to think, Eldoret. We have to think. We can't be dumb anymore. Okay, finally you found a preacher who's not telling you, give me 5,000 and in 6 days you get a miracle under your bed. No. Finally you find a preacher who says to you, the journey just begins. Finally you find a preacher who says to you, you can't sleep for 12 hours and be wealthy. Finally you find a preacher who says to you, if you have no mentor, you can't. You want to go to tailoring and fashion? Locate somebody who's ahead of you. Somebody who's done it before. Begin to learn from them. God gave me a word about this man who's been driving me around, and it was so strong on Sunday last week. And as we're driving around, my desire, and I told him, is that he will find mentors, 1 or 2 people that are already wealthy that he can hang around, so you can catch the culture, you can catch the traditions, the excellence, the diligence. What is the lifestyle of the wealthy? Wealthy people are not busy gossiping. Can we talk? Welcome, Bishop. Wealthy people are not meeting at Java, busy with other people's lives. No. Wealthy people don't sleep for 12 hours. Now, I even told you, some of these billionaires you see, they have personal chefs. They weigh the amount of calorie that goes into their mouth. You won't find them with beer. Statistics: 90% of billionaire men are not pregnant. Oh, you missed that. You know that 8 months pregnancy? Please find them. Google them, find them. Check them out. 90% of billionaire men don't have a tummy. Why? Because I wish above all that you may prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. The trigger of your prosperity is your solely called faculty, your mind, the way you think, the way you see things, your perceptions, your traditions, your cultures. How do you view things? Your soul. James says you receive with meekness the engrafted word of God that is able to save your soul. When I asked God, how do I raise millionaires in Africa? He said, mindset change, paradigm shift. You have to change how we think. You are not owed anything by anyone. The fact that your uncle is wealthy doesn't mean that he's supposed to help you. He does that if he wants to. If he doesn't, you don't have to be angry at him, because entitlement is a destroyer. I'm sure my siblings are watching this. They've been telling me, they've been following, saying, good word, good word. I'm sure they're watching this. Go ask them. The fact that I'm wealthy doesn't mean they just have it. No. And there's one particular one, bring the camera closer. There's one particular one that we fight every time. You have one too. Hey bro, throw me 20K there. I said, I'm not throwing you no 20K. I am not throwing you no 20K. Then he won't talk to me for 2-3 months. And I say, I'm cool. We'll meet in heaven, and I'll stay next to you when we get there. I'm cool. Because the fact that I have doesn't mean you have to have. My responsibility is to empower you. Is to teach you how to fish. Is to put stuff in your hand. But if I do that and you mess it, and I do again and you mess it, and all say, bro, throw me 20K there, I'm not throwing money anywhere. You prosper even as your soul. Come on, I don't know. When I was praying early this morning, this is what God said to me to tell you. Begin a journey of paradigm shift, mindset transformation. Change how you think. Amen. Even as your soul prospereth, even as. That means your prosperity is only even as. So you have to think. Eldoret, you have to think. I know you're spiritual. I know you're powerful. I know you're prayerful. I know you study, but you have to think. From now on, I need you to wake up by 5 a.m., go into a corner that is quiet, and begin to see yourself better. Begin to think yourself bigger. Begin to see your business multiplying. Begin to think. Think of that car that you're driving to Nairobi and back. Think of going to Dubai to import things and bring it. Think of going to Vietnam and going to China. Begin to think, and don't think things that you can afford, because if you can afford them, you don't need God. You need to think things that are bigger than you, so you can attract a God who's bigger than you. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Jesus said, if you have faith like a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, you gotta move. Think. Napoleon Hill wrote a book, Think and Grow Rich. Think and grow rich. You're going to think, even as your soul Prosper. Now let's break this. I might only deal with this and then we go to Genesis and we close. Beloved, you that are born again, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper. Prosperity, here we go, Edward. Prosperity is not just money in the bank account. It's not just shoes on your feet. It's not just a car in your garage. It's not just a house where you live in. It's not just your children in the best schools around here. Prosperity in the divine dimension is holistic. It is affecting your spirit, affecting your soul, affecting your body. So he says, I wish above all things, because human beings are made in the image of God. The word image in the New Testament is the Greek word tselem, T-S-E-L-E-M. It means resemblance of, it means likeness to, it means a reflection of. Number 4, it means an echo, Now some of the scholars say that echo is the weightier of tselem, because tselem means echo. If you go into a cliff where there is a big cliff and there's echo and you say hello, it goes hello, hello, hello and dies, because even nature begins to show you that you are made in the tselem of God. You are made in the reflection of God. You are made in the likeness of God. God is triune, one God, 3 personalities. It's the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Man is a tripartite being. Tripartite means you are a spirit, you have a soul, you live in the body. You are a spirit, you have a soul, you live in the body. That makes the holistic you. Your spirit is also into 3. It is the intuition, it's the conscience, it's the communion. The intuition is that radar that begins to pick things that your brain does not pick. You go for lunch with somebody who's trying to date you. He has a 3-piece suit. He parked a Range Rover out there. You have a great lunch at whatever place you went. After you walk out of that lunch, everything was okay, but something is off. There's something is not. There's an alarm that is not happy. Something is just, that's your intuitive dimension. You don't play with that. Then there's the conscience, the faculty that determines between wrong and right. That faculty, when you steal somebody's money and put in your pocket, that alarm goes off. You don't need a police to follow you. If your conscience is sharp, it's going to follow you everywhere. It is in the spirit dimension. Then there's the communion dimension. The dimension that speaks to God is not here. It is in the communion aspect of the spirit. That's why you are driving to Kapsabe and you're playing worship songs. The moment you get there, the whole album is over. You switch off the car, you step out, but track number 7 is still playing. It is playing in the communion dimension. That is the aspect of your spirit dimension. When God said to Adam, if you eat you will die, you will die, you will die, you will die. God is not a liar that after he ate he still had Cain, Abel and Seth and the others. You will die, you will die. The you there was not the Adama, the clay that he made from the ground. The you there was the that he breathed into him, the spirit dimension. If the conscience died, the intuition died, the communion died. So when you get born again, what is quickened is those 3. You're discerning again. Your conscience is alive again. You can hear things people are not hearing. Right now I'm saying one thing, but you're writing something because you're hearing more than I'm saying. So your spirit has to prosper. And that's the you. I pray that you prosper. You are not the body. You are the spirit. You have a soul and you live in the body. Look at me, I'm going to close. Paul says, when this earthly tabernacle is torn down, I will go. When this earthly tabernacle is torn down, I will go. That means I am not this. I live here. That's why I don't put coke here, because I live here. That's why I quit pizza, because I live here. I'm allergic to junk. Allergic to junk. I don't like junk. Why? Because I live here. I don't just buy any kind of shoe because I live here. I don't just wear any kind of jacket because I live here. I don't just drive any kind of car. Everything I do for here is because I live here. Woo! I don't just go to any haircut. I live here. Nobody just grabs my head and start doing things. No, I live here. I live here. I don't just eat anywhere. I live here. You know what I mean? I live here. I don't just wear any cologne. I live here. One of them is finished. And I called Nairobi. And they say they have 52K. Say I receive. Say I'm one of them. Okay. With humility without bragging. With humility without bragging. There's more than 23 of them on my bedside. Back home. More than. And the cheapest could be 34. Why? I live here. He says to Abraham, how far can you see? How far can you see? I'm giving you a chance to map your territory. How far can you see? As far as you can see, I'll give it to you. Somebody say, I'm one of them. From now on, you walk down there and some Lexus Jeep passes by you. Just say, keep driving my car. I'm coming for it. I'm one of them. You don't say, woo, ah, woo. You know, I was in St. Kitts and Nevis in the Caribbean, and the Sam, this guy is called Sam. He's been around with me and Kirwa. Where's Kirwa? And Kirwa, you've been around me. So the Sam and Kirwa there, the guy that was driving me around last day or Monday before we flew out, he says to me, sir, so you live in Africa? I say, yes. How far? I said that you have to fly 10.5 hours to London or Amsterdam, then another 11 hours to Johannesburg. He said, woo, and how much is that? I said, $2,500 economy, and it can go to $10,000 business class. He said, I will die with never going there. With the Jamaican accent, I'm going to die. I'm never going to go there. I'm going to die. He disqualified himself. And I said, you don't talk like that. You say, I'm coming there. Come on, say, I'm coming there. Look to your neighbor, say, neighbor. By June this year, I will see you in Switzerland. Does he believe it? Does she believe it? No, they don't believe it. Look to your neighbor, say, neighbor. Australia is 28 hours away on a plane. I will see you there. Begin to brush your teeth. You're going. Begin to comb your hair. You're going. Begin to shower daily, because you can't show up there when you are not brushed teeth up. Begin to get ready, because you are going. You are going there. Begin to practice your destiny. Begin to practice your future. I want you to go down and write what you see in your begin to see that in your life. I wish above all that you remember, you is your spirit, may prosper and be in health. We can't ignore that. And my time is out. God will not release 100 million shillings your way if he knows you will die before you use it. I challenge you. I do 3 kilometers every day. Run. I challenge you. Back at home, everybody is on the treadmill. Everybody is running. We don't just pastor you to go to heaven. No. We don't pastor you. We have a church football team. I'm the goalkeeper. You can't beat me. You can't pass. There's no way you're passing. I play golf. I'm a golf addict. I play golf 3 times a week. It's 8 kilometers walk. But I still have to run for 3. Oh, we're going to get you an apartment. What are you going to eat there? How do we make the food there? Give me a fruit basket. And I'm solid. Give me a fruit basket for the whole day. Give me 1 meal in a day. I'm solid. I'm not expensive. I'm easy. 1 banana, 1 apple, 1 orange, breakfast. Lunchtime, I change them around. Evening, if I have lunch, then I go back to fruits. I want to be here at 100. You see, you think I'm your age mate. You see, you look at me, you think I'm young. I'm not young. I could be double the age of this guy. How old are you? Old enough. Are you married? Not yet. He's avoiding someone to know there. He will never say that publicly. On the mic, no ways. He's saying, I went to school, man. I went to school. I'm sharper. Man, now listen. All I'm saying is to inspire you. I wish I had 20 more days to take care of your health. And be in health. Intentionalize drinking water. Normalize drinking water. Walk. If you can't afford gym, walk. Some of us trained during COVID. We discovered there's home training that is as good as going to the gym. We went to YouTube and everywhere, skip the rope 1,000 times, and what this you can train if you want to train. Please leave this thing of leaving your house in a car into the parking lot, get into the lift, into an office, sit there, order pizza at 10 a.m., pizza at 3 before you leave, and then bring Coke on top of it, and then you go home and you eat at 10 p.m. We'll talk about lifestyle next time. You should never eat after 8. Can we talk? And if you do, eat fruits, because they are breakable, they are digestible quickly. Don't push that jogo at 10 p.m. with drumsticks. No, don't eat after that. Do not eat and drink water same time. Okay, next time. Your digestive enzymes want to break down the nutrients from the food particles undiluted. In order for it to be assimilated into your bloodstream and help you, anything you eat, try to Google and find nutritional value before you put it here. This is Greek, right? Avoid sugar as much as you can. Avoid sugar. Sugar is not good. And these things, if we were to get scientific and show you on a chart, they don't affect you next week. No. When you turn 50, 52, then you find your knees now giving up, your calcium level is low, some of your organs don't have the capacity anymore, because they've been overpowered by the acidic substance in the soft drinks. Leave them. Leave them, Fantas and Stonies. If you can, make a covenant with God never to go there. Can we have an amen here? You live in Africa. We all are in Africa where there's vegetables and greens. We are very healthy people. Eat a lot of vegetables. Drink a lot of water. Sleep for 7 to 8 hours. Wake up early and think. Begin to see yourself bigger. Know you can make it. There's no mountain you can't climb. There's no height you can't go. There's nothing you cannot buy. God wants to raise you out of nothingness and make you greater. Somebody say yes. Yes. I'll leave it here. Wow. You know, my main blessing factor thing is in Genesis chapter 1. But my time is out. Some here. And verse number 26 and 27. Please, let's read it, then I can pray for you. Oh, God. Did you enjoy this week? Yes. Let you prosper. You is your spiritual dimension. Don't be jealous about anybody. Don't culture wrong spirits. Don't be bitter. Don't carry unforgiveness. Don't carry resentment. Whoever hurt you, the boyfriend broke up with you in 2014. He's gone ahead, he's moved on, he's married, has 5 kids. You're still bitter. You're still busy with a man that went long time ago. Don't be bitter. If anybody texts you and says it's over between us, you need to text them back and say hallelujah. Wave them bye-bye. I pray that you get an anointing to to say bye-bye to such kind of people. And you will still make it and you'll be fine. Actually, anyone that leaves you is supposed to leave you because God knows you don't need them in your future. Let them go. Let them what? If you make a mistake and people judge you and leave you, let them leave you. You need people that can help you get back. You need brothers who can look into your eyes and say, bro, I see you're straying. That's wrong. You're no longer praying like you're praying before, but I've got your back. The ministry of reconciliation is part of the Bible. Self-righteousness is demonic. Because you got mad, I don't want mad, I'm clean. It's not God. There was a movement in the US years back, revival, WWJD. I don't know that you know about it. What would Jesus do? They began to just think on that. Jesus find you stealing? What would Jesus do? Keep your heart clean. All right? And God said, let's make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man. I wish I could come back with this. God created man in his image, in his own image. In the image of God created he what? Read with me. Created he what? Shout it. What? Created he what? And then read the other part. In verse what of chapter 1? So male and female created he, them. And then somebody told you that the man was made before the woman. So the man is superior. They were both made same time. It's just that one was in another. Oh, you missed it. You missed it. Okay, let's go to our verse. Next 28 and then we leave. We leave. I really enjoyed Eldoret. I promise you. I've been across this country and I can confess that in the last 6 years, this is probably one of the fellowships that I've enjoyed the spirit here. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. This was amazing. And then God bless them. God bless them. Friends, as I leave you, God bless them. I had an idea and a thinking that anything that God makes and touches is already blessed. But he did something on them here that without which they would not be fruitful, they would not multiply, they would not replenish the earth, they would not subdue it, and they would never have dominion. It was necessary for him to do this thing that he did here for them to be able to become what he was leaving them here to do. And that thing is called he blessed them. When the blessing comes on you, that's the coercion I'm talking about. That's what I came to trigger in this part of the world. When this blessing thing comes on you, it causes 5 things signifying grace. Number 1 is fruitfulness. Fruitfulness is the guaranteed harvest in every seed sown. Now, nothing that you do that is going to go to waste without getting a harvest back. act. Number 2 is multiplication, rapid increase. The blessing was on Israel, and so the more they oppressed them, the more they multiplied. When the multiplication, that the grace is on you, you begin to go at a speed that others cannot fathom. Whatever it takes people 5 years to do, you can do in 7 months, and they wonder, how did you get there? Because you have a multiplication grace upon your land. Number 3 is replenish. It is constant progress towards capacity into overflow. Replenish is like you're drinking water in a glass. If it gets to 3/4, somebody comes and fills it again, and then you're drinking again, it fills again. So you are always replenished. When you have a replenishing grace on you, you don't go empty. You never ever go empty. When it looks like things are going down, suddenly it comes again and overflows. And they say, and subdue. To subdue, subjugation is the authority and ability to rise above any spirit or anybody or any power that tries to come on your blessing factor. If you have the subjugation grace, you have the authority and ability. If you understand this revelation and you're working in a company where the directors are against you, and there's this one particular one, this Kimeo guy that is always working so that you can be fired, you don't need to fight in the flesh. You need to know what you carry is on you. If the blessing is on you, you need to go to the ladies there or the gents there, close the door and put your leg on top of that white sheep and say, Kimeo, I don't fight in the flesh. I deal with you here. I will subdue you, because I've got ability and authority to put you where you belong. The blessing factor is on me, and I can deal with you in the closet. You don't fight in the flesh. Somebody say, it's on me. Shout, it's on me. And finally, dominion. Authority, ability, wisdom and knowledge. Wisdom and knowledge comes on top of the subjugation dimension. Now you have wisdom and knowledge. Now you don't get wealthy this year and go down the other year. You have got knowledge from heaven to sustain that which God has given you. When this thing comes on you, your own family members will never be able to understand him. This is what I came here praying for, and I need us to break something. Please play for me that video. This made me cry last night. I saw this on somebody's status. I had really prayed for this city and for this fellowship, and I was just saying, God, please pull down for me some people. And then somebody posted this, and this made me cry. Watch this for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Play it. Literally water. Literally, with a couple of beans in it. Africa, this is not our portion. This is not our portion. May the blessing bring you out. May your children never see that. May your children's children never see that. May God break poverty to your 3rd generation and 4th generation. May God find you and bless you so we can stop this. May your hand be used to take a child to school. May your hand be used to feed another child. May you rise beyond measure in the name that is above every other name. And somebody said amen. Give the Lord praise. I cried over that. I'm a coach in this field. God gave me revelation, very deep revelation. Come here again. Come here again. Kneel down. It's God who opens doors. It's God who opens doors. Open for you the necessary door that you need to step into your next move and your next level. Today I stand on this altar If I be a man of God, let the gates open. In Jesus' name. Okay, time is out, guys. I don't know. I did challenge you to give. It's not because the money is needed. It's because I'm your coach. And I want to leave you with this blessing factor. Your story will be told. Your story will be told. I can tell you now, God will not unlock things without your Isaac sacrifice. Please, even when I go, even when I'm gone, remember to change levels. Open for you, Isaac sacrifice. Isaac is on the altar. Please, even when I go, even when I'm gone, remember to change levels. Open for you, Isaac sacrifice. Isaac is on the altar. Please, even when I go, even when I'm gone, remember to change levels. Open for you. And I leave you here. This giving is not for South Africa. No, this giving is for you. It's for you. It's for you. I've preached with some of the big names on TBN, and without mentioning names here, one of the biggest American preachers that you all know was coming to Harare, Zimbabwe. And the PA called me, say, Elias, Bishop is coming down to SA and he's going to be in Johannesburg for 10 hours. He wants to hang with you. Are you available? And I ducked. I said, no, I'm not. I was not, because I was going through a bit of financial situation. There are graces I don't meet so I can take a picture and put on Instagram. I know what to do with the grace. If I meet a grace, I sow into grace. I've given him $5,000 before. He doesn't need it. His books alone in 2019 was $59 million sale. Just the books, not the movies, not the messages, just the books alone was $59 million in 2019. I still gave my 5K. You don't give because it's needed. You give because you need to give. When I gave him the 5K, he took it and gave to someone to keep it, take it somewhere. I don't know where they took it. I was watching as he was giving, it was gone. But me, I tapped into the Melchizedek Abraham dimension. Revelation is very deep. You don't celebrate grace, you receive from grace. I'll leave you with that. See these graces here? You don't just clap hands, you receive from grace. I'm going to trigger something. In the next 6 months, some of you will break into things you never saw coming. Please, when it happens, remember me in your kingdom. I'm serious. Oh, remember me where? In your kingdom, because you're one of them. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Say, Father, this day my life changes to the glory of your name. In Jesus' name. Can we get off air? Can we get off air? Thank you. Off air. If you have given this week, the other day, yesterday, please stand very quickly. When I am